Voting in the first statewide race of 2018 is now just 4 months away. In February, voters will decide which two candidates will emerge from the primary for Wisconsin Supreme Court. There are 3 declared candidates in the race to succeed Justice Michael Gableman, who is not seeking re-election. Madison attorney Tim Burns, Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Rebecca Dallett, and our next guest, Sauk County Circuit Court Judge Michael Skrenok. Judge Skrenok, thanks very much for being on the program with us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
So help us better understand you and how you're different from your two opponents in this race.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, I think the main thing that sets me apart is my judicial philosophy. And I want to lead with that because I think it is the most important thing when you're looking at a Supreme Court race, because the role of the court is so important in our system of government that can't be lost. And I'm running because I believe strongly in the rule of law. I believe strongly in the separation of powers, and I think it's critically important that the court, when it's doing its work, that it doesn't overstep its authority and infringe on the role given by the people to the other two branches, our political branches. But in terms of experience, I have a much different experience than either of my two opponents. Before I went to law school, I had a nearly 12-year career in local government. I did everything from running a part-time community development block grant program that helped low-income homeowners repair their homes, get low-interest loans. I was a building inspector, finance director, and city administrator. And in those roles, I learned how important it was as a government official not to abuse the authority that I was given. Because imagine how easy it would have been as a building inspector to go beyond what the building code provides for and to impose my own view of what the code ought to say. And so that's a different experience than we've seen on the court before.
Would it be fair, I think you described yourself when you announced as having a conservative judicial philosophy, much like Michael Gableman's, the man you hope to replace. That's a fair assessment.
That is correct, that's right. And it is important, I have absolutely no problem wearing the moniker of judicial conservative, and that is very different than considering what my political beliefs might be, because quite frankly, and I disagree with Mr. Burns, the political values of a judge shouldn't matter if the judge or justice is staying within the proper realm of his or her authority.
Let me jump in on that because he's going to, Attorney Burns is obviously going to make an issue of your political past. And for people who aren't familiar, you helped defend the Act 10 legislation that eliminated most collective bargaining for public employees. You helped work with Republican lawmakers to rewrite legislative maps, I think is accurate to say. So why wouldn't it be fair for a citizen in the state of Wisconsin to say, you know, I think if Judge Skrenok is elected to the Supreme Court, he's going to side with Republican Party interests? Why would that not be fair?
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be fair to begin with because it wouldn't be true. And it is critically important that people believe that the court is nonpartisan. We have nonpartisan elections. Now, what makes it tricky in Wisconsin at this time, and I understand this, individual voters in nonpartisan races, and I think we saw it with the superintendent of public instruction race, individual voters look to the parties for guidance. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just a reality. But as a judge, quite frankly, I'm offended if somebody actually says that I am a partisan activist on the court. And as a candidate for the Supreme Court, it is wrong to suggest that I would advance partisan interests on the court. That is not the role of the court. And
I understand that, but I guess my question would be, could you understand how somebody, a voter out there, might look at your past work and say, boy, how could that not possibly be a part of what he would be on the bench?
Yeah, and what I would do is I would point a voter back to my entire career. And the work that I did on Act 10, I was selected to participate in that work because of my ability as an attorney, not because of my partisan views. But the law firm that I was with was hired by the governor's office to defend the legislation. We had over 200 attorneys in the law firm, and 3 of us were selected for the task. I was one of those 3. It was because of my abilities, not because of any partisan connection I had. I didn't have any partisan connection. Mm-hmm. That doesn't help, quite frankly, when you're in the court of law. You can have someone who's passionately believing in a cause, but if they're not able to advance a legal argument that is a winning argument, you lose.
Much more to talk about. Hope to have you back on the program. We'll talk about a lot of issues in the months to come. Judge Skrenak, thanks very much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Our editorial partner, WisPolitics.com, covers the statewide races all year long. You'll find that on the election blog of WisPolitics.com. Coming up next on Upfront, Wisconsin versus Michigan. Who offered what for Foxconn?